Today, we are tackling the big one, the question that's probably been in the back of your mind for a while now. We're going to look at it through the lens of innovation economics, and the answer? Well, it's probably not what you think.
So let's just get right to it. Will a robot take your job? You see it everywhere. Technology is getting smarter, it's getting faster, and it feels like our jobs are just, hanging by a thread. But is it really that simple? Is it just a countdown to obsolescence?
You might be surprised to hear this, but this anxiety, this feeling that the machines are coming for us, it's not new at all. In fact, pretty much every single time there's been a big technological leap, people have had this exact same fear of mass unemployment. It's a story that just keeps repeating.
I mean, just look at the Luddites back in 19th century England. We think of them as just angry people smashing machines, right? But they weren't. They were highly skilled artisans, and they saw these new textile machines as a direct threat to their entire way of life, to their craft. That fear they felt, it's the same one we're feeling today.
So to really get to the bottom of this, we have to understand that innovation isn't just one thing. It actually comes in two totally different flavors, and telling them apart, it's absolutely crucial to figuring out what happens to our jobs.
So on one side, you've got process innovation. This is all about finding better, more efficient ways of making the stuff we already have. Think about the first assembly lines, or software that makes accounting way faster. Then, on the other side, you have product innovation. This is about creating brand new things, stuff that didn't exist before, like the smartphone or streaming music. And believe me, these two forces pull our economy in very different directions.
Let's start with the one that sounds the scariest: process innovation. I mean, the word efficiency pretty much sounds like a code word for job cuts, right? But here's the thing. There's this wild paradox at the heart of it all that most people totally miss.
The goal here is dead simple. Make the same product, but do it cheaper, do it faster, do it better. This is the classic story of automation we've heard for decades.
And okay, let's be real. The immediate direct effect is exactly what we're all afraid of. If a new machine lets one person do the work of three, well, that can absolutely lead to job losses. The official term is technological redundancy, and it is a very real thing. But that's not where the story ends, not by a long shot.
Because then the indirect effects kick in. So the new process makes things cheaper to produce. That means the company can lower its prices. And what happens when prices fall? We, the consumers, tend to buy a lot more of that thing. And if demand explodes, that company has to ramp up production so much that they might actually need to hire more people than they had in the first place. The paradox is that making something more efficiently can actually grow the whole market, and a bigger market often needs more hands on deck.
All right, now let's flip the coin and look at product innovation. This side of the story is way more straightforward when it comes to creating jobs.
This isn't about improving old things. It's about inventing totally new stuff. The things we didn't even realize we needed until they existed. I mean, just try to imagine all the job titles out there today that were completely unheard of 20 years ago.
Think about the invention of the iPhone. Apple didn't just need people to assemble the phones. All of a sudden, the world needed app developers, smartphone case designers, digital marketers who knew how to sell this new gadget, and an entire global network of repair shops. See? Product innovation doesn't just shuffle jobs around. It creates entirely new industries out of thin air.
Okay, so that's the theory. It all sounds good on a whiteboard. But what happens when we look at the actual numbers, the hard data from our crazy high-tech world today? Do robots and AI really fit these neat little boxes?
And this is where it gets really fascinating, because all the headlines scream about the robot apocalypse and mass unemployment. But when economists dig into the actual data, the picture they find is a whole lot more complex, and in many ways, surprisingly positive.
So, check this out. One study looked at manufacturing firms in Japan. It found that adding just one more industrial robot per 1,000 workers actually increased the firm's total employment by 2.2%. That's the efficiency paradox playing out in real life. The robots made those companies so much more competitive that they grew, sold more, and ended up hiring more people. And this wasn't just a fluke in Japan. A similar study in Finland found the same thing. Firms that adopted advanced technologies, they increased their hiring. The evidence is starting to show that at least at the company level, technology is often a driver of growth, not just a simple replacement for human workers.
Now, AI is a bit of a different animal. What the data's showing us here is a massive shift in the kind of skills that are in demand. Firms that are going all in on AI are hiring fewer people for routine, non-AI tasks. But, and this is key, they're hiring way more people who have AI-related skills. So AI isn't just killing jobs, it's fundamentally changing what it means to have a job.
And of course, we can't have this conversation without talking about the gig economy. Platforms like Uber and Upwork are creating all these new, flexible ways to work. For someone who's unemployed, that can be an incredible lifeline, a real stepping stone. But the debate is raging about whether this model offers real stability or just traps people in precarious, insecure work. Honestly, the jury is still out.
So let's go back to the beginning. Will a robot take your job? Well, as we've seen from the real-world data, the answer is just not a simple yes or no. Technology is both a disruptive force and an incredibly creative one. It's doing what The Economist said. It's challenging the very basics of how we thought our economy worked. So maybe the real question isn't if there will be jobs in the future, but what will those jobs look like? And are we getting ourselves ready for that change?